For Christmas, my parents got my 11-year-old a new iPhone. She was over the moon. Then she saw something on the screen and asked, "What is it, Mama?" I looked at it and my blood ran cold. I didn't shout. I took action. 2 hours later, their lives started to unravel. I know how it sounds. Like I'm about to tell you the kind of story people only believe if there's a court transcript and a Netflix documentary, but this was my Christmas. We were at Mom and Dad's house, because that's where Lily and I live. After my divorce, I moved back temporarily, which is what adults say when they're trying to convince themselves they haven't hit rock bottom. Lily and I have the upstairs bedroom, my childhood home, now featuring my child and my pride, both crammed into the same space. Christmas morning looked like every other Christmas morning in that house. Tree lights blinking like they were trying to hypnotize everyone into behaving, wrapping paper stacked like snowdrifts, cinnamon candles burning so aggressively it smelled like a bakery exploded. Brenda was there early, of course. My sister doesn't arrive anywhere. She makes an entrance. She came in carrying gift bags like Santa's favorite intern, and her 12-year-old son Ryan trailing behind her with that easy confidence boys have when the world has spent years assuring them they're the main character. Ryan is the golden grandchild. If Mom and Dad had a family crest, it would just be his face. Lily knows that. She doesn't say it out loud. She doesn't have to. She's learned the same trick I learned. Smile, stay small, be good, and maybe, someone will finally look at you like you matter. Lily had on her Christmas pajamas and the careful smile she saves for moments when she doesn't want to get her hopes up. She sat on the carpet with her hands in her lap, waiting her turn like she was in line at the DMV, not Christmas morning. Ryan, meanwhile, was already tearing through presents like he was speedrunning joy. New sneakers, a gaming headset, something electronic that made Dad do that proud laugh like Ryan had personally cured disease. Lily clapped politely at all of it. She actually clapped. My kid has better manners than most adults I know. And then Mom said, in that bright, performative voice she uses when she wants credit, "Okay, this one is for Lily." I almost missed it because I was busy watching Ryan get another box and watching my daughter pretend it didn't sting. Mom slid a rectangular package across the carpet. I saw the shape. I saw the way Lily's eyes widened before she tried to tame them back into polite. I saw her glance at me, quick, nervous, like she needed permission to believe. Is this really for me?" she asked, soft. Mom smiled. Dad nodded once. Brenda's mouth twitched at the corner like she was watching a punchline she already knew. Lily peeled back the paper slowly, like she was afraid if she moved too fast the gift would evaporate into socks. And there it was. An iPhone box. Not the newest model, not the kind influencers unbox with manicured nails and ring lights, but still, an iPhone. A real one. The kind of gift Ryan would get without anyone blinking. Lily stared at it like it was proof of something she'd been trying to earn all year. "Oh my gosh," she whispered. She looked up at Mom, then Dad, then me, like she was taking attendance. Like she needed to make sure everyone saw her being chosen. "Thank you," she said immediately. Because that's who she is. Because she's learned the right words make adults less likely to change their minds. Mom watched Lily's face closely, like she was waiting for a bigger reaction. Dad watched too, quiet and heavy. Brenda leaned back, arms folded, calm as anything. Ryan smirked at the tree. Lily held the box with both hands and hugged it to her chest. She didn't even open it right away. She just held it. And my heart did this stupid thing where it jumped up and said, maybe. Maybe this is different. Maybe this year is different. Because I'm apparently the kind of person who will touch a hot stove twice just to confirm it's still hot. Mom cleared her throat. We thought it was time she had something nice. For safety. So she can call you if she needs to. Yeah, Dad added. He always sounded like he was reading from a script he didn't agree with. Kids need phones these days. Brenda nodded like she'd personally authored Modern Parenting. Lily kept smiling. She kept looking at the box like it was love wrapped in cardboard. We didn't fully open it there. Not really. Mom made a whole little speech about setting it up later and doing it properly, and Lily nodded like she didn't care, like she wasn't vibrating from the inside out. But I saw the way her fingers kept tapping the corner of the box, like she was checking it was still real. A little later, once the chaos downstairs got loud and Ryan disappeared into the living room with his new gadgets, Lily tugged my sleeve. Can we go upstairs? She asked, trying to sound casual. I knew what she meant. Our room, our little corner of the house where she could be excited without feeling watched. Yeah, I said. Let's go. Upstairs, she sat on the bed and opened the box like it was sacred. She lifted the lid carefully, like it might bite her. And there it was, silver and sleek and beautiful, sitting in its little cradle. She let out this tiny sound, half laugh, half sob. I can't believe they got me this, she said. I tried to smile. I tried to be the mom who lets her kid have the moment without poisoning it with suspicion. I really did. She picked it up and turned it over in her hands, and then she frowned. Wait, she said. Why does it look like that? There were scratches. Not huge gouges, nothing dramatic, but enough to catch the light. Enough to make my stomach tighten. It's probably refurbished, I said immediately. Too fast. Like I was trying to convince myself. That's normal. Lots of people buy refurbished. Lily nodded. She wanted to believe. She wanted to believe so badly she could have convinced herself the phone was carved out of a potato as long as it meant her grandparents cared. She pressed the power button. The screen lit up. A logo flashed. And then, too quickly, it went straight to a home screen. Not a setup screen. Not a hello screen. A home screen. Lily blinked. Is it already on? Before I could answer, a notification dropped down from the top. Just a banner. A few words. Lily leaned closer, squinting, and then looked up at me with that open, trusting face. What is it, Mama? She asked. I leaned in, and for a second, my brain refused to translate what my eyes were reading, because those words didn't belong on a child's Christmas present. Those words didn't belong on any phone a kid was holding. My blood ran cold so fast it felt like my body forgot how to be warm. I didn't shout. I didn't snatch it and run screaming down the stairs. I forced my face into something normal, something gentle. I said, like it was nothing, like it was a weather alert. That's weird. Let me see. Lily handed me the phone without hesitation, because she trusts me like children are supposed to. I tapped once, twice, just enough to see that this wasn't a glitch. This wasn't some random spam message. This was a trail, a history, a mess. And the worst part was the quiet realization that followed right behind it. Someone in this house knew exactly what was on this phone. I looked at Lily, still smiling, still hopeful, and I felt something in my chest crack. I set the phone down gently on the bed like it might explode. Sweetie, I said, keeping my voice light, why don't you go brush your teeth? We'll finish setting it up in a minute. She hesitated. But 2 minutes, I said. Promise. Lily slid off the bed and padded into the bathroom. The second the door clicked shut, I picked up the phone again. My hands were steady. My stomach wasn't. Because I already knew this wasn't just a mistake, and whatever I had just seen was going to change everything. Lily fell asleep like she'd been handed a piece of magic and nothing else mattered. Of course she did. She's 11. She can go from, I can't believe it, to drooling on my pillow in under 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I lay there staring at the ceiling like it owed me an explanation. Once her breathing settled, I picked the phone back up. I didn't do the mature thing. I didn't put it away and deal with it tomorrow. I'd already seen enough on that screen to know tomorrow might be too late. So yeah, I dug. WhatsApp opened without asking me to log in. No setup, no verification. Just an inbox already full of history, like the phone had a life before it ever touched my daughter's hands, and whoever wrapped it up didn't bother to wash it first. I scrolled. The first thing that hit me wasn't one horrible message. It was the sheer volume. The same target, again and again. Long threads where the tone didn't soften, didn't reset, didn't end. It wasn't a fight. It was a routine. I checked call logs. Same number popping up over and over. Missed calls, repeated attempts, back to back like someone was trying to wear the other person down by sheer persistence. Contacts were a mess. Random numbers, stupid nicknames, entries that looked like someone didn't want this phone connected to anything real. And then I saw the name. Emily. My throat went tight. Emily was a girl from Lily's school. Not someone Lily talked about much, which honestly is part of what made it worse. Because even if your kid isn't involved, you still hear things. You hear the whispers at pickup. You see the sudden caution in teachers' faces. You catch the way parents lower their voices like the truth is contagious. Emily had disappeared mid-year, transferred, gone. Just not there anymore. I remembered one parent saying, her parents went to the police. Like that was the shocking part. Like calling the police was the scandal, not whatever had driven a kid out of her school. Now Emily's name was sitting inside a phone my parents handed to my daughter for Christmas. I didn't need every detail to understand the shape of it. I saw enough to know this wasn't kids being mean. It was sustained, designed. A drip feed of humiliation and intimidation that felt deliberate, like someone had made a hobby out of making one girl miserable. I clicked into media and immediately regretted having thumbs. There were images saved in there. I caught a glimpse. Angle, context, the kind of wrong you don't have to study to understand, and I backed out so fast my hand slipped. No, I wasn't doing that to myself. And I wasn't letting that sit in Lily's orbit for one more second than necessary. I set the phone down and stared at it like it might start buzzing again, like it might crawl across the dresser and keep doing what it had been doing. Okay, so, how did this end up in my kid's hands? My brain offered the easiest answer first, because brains love denial. It's their favorite hobby. Maybe it was Ryan's old phone. That part actually made sense. Ryan is the golden grandchild. He gets upgrades like other kids get haircuts. A new phone for him wouldn't be special. It would be expected. And if he'd kept an old one as a spare, well, kids do dumb things with spare devices, especially kids who think rules are for other people. Maybe mom and dad just re-gifted it. Cheap, lazy, thoughtless, but not malicious. And I could almost handle thoughtless. Thoughtless is familiar, because none of this was happening in a vacuum. Nothing in my family ever does. Brenda has been the chosen one for as long as I can remember. Mom and Dad never sat me down and announced it like a villain speech. They didn't have to. In that house, love has always had a direction, and it rarely pointed at me. When Brenda had Ryan, the favoritism didn't vanish. It just updated. Ryan became the center of gravity. Everything he did was boys being boys. He's just spirited. He's got so much potential. Mistakes got brushed off. Attitude got reframed as confidence. Trouble got softened into misunderstandings. Lily, my Lily, learned the opposite lesson. Be polite. Be grateful. Don't make noise. Try harder. She claps for Ryan's gifts like she's at an awards show. She says thank you for practical presents with the same careful smile every year. She gets straight A's like she's applying for approval. And when she helps clear plates without being asked, she watches Mom and Dad's faces like she's waiting for the moment they finally decide she matters too. I hate that I recognize it so well, because I used to do it. That's why that iPhone box hit her like a miracle. That's why she hugged it to her chest like it was proof of something. That's why I let myself hope for half a second, even though I should have known better. Now I was sitting in the dark with evidence of someone else's cruelty on a device meant for my child, and that hope felt like a joke I'd laughed at too early. I picked the phone up again. I didn't know yet if my parents were just clueless or complicit. That was the part I couldn't solve from the screen alone. Should I wake Mom and Dad? March downstairs and shove it in their faces? Ask if they knew what they'd handed to Lily? Or would they do what they always do? Tell me I'm overreacting, tell me I'm dramatic, tell me to stop making trouble, while quietly fixing whatever needed fixing behind my back? Downstairs I heard movement, a chair scrape. Brenda's voice, tight, quick. Mom's lower, controlled. Dad's gravelly calm. They sounded normal, which, in my family, is usually the scariest part, because normal is what they wear over whatever they're trying to hide. I set the phone down, stepped into the hallway barefoot, and started toward the stairs. Quiet, careful, heart hammering, because whatever was about to happen next, I needed to hear it with my own ears. When I reached the staircase, I heard Brenda's voice, tight, fast, sharp, and my body stopped moving before my brain even caught up. "She's going to notice," Brenda hissed. Mom's voice floated back, too calm. "She already thinks it's refurbished." Dad spoke quietly, like he was trying to keep the walls from hearing. "She won't do anything. She never does." My throat went dry. I stayed still, because I've known my parents my whole life. And that tone, Dad's confident calm, Mom's soothing reassurance, that was the tone they used when they'd made a decision for me and expected me to accept it. Brenda's voice again. "The school is involved. Emily's parents aren't letting it go. They're going crazy." Mom snapped, "Because it was serious." There was a pause. Then Brenda said softer, "I didn't think it would get this far." Dad's chair creaked. "It got this far because Ryan wouldn't stop." My stomach clenched so hard I thought I might actually be sick. Brenda's voice rose. "He's a kid." "And Lily isn't?" Mom shot back. And for one horrifying second, I almost felt gratitude until she added, "Lily's just easier." There it was, the part they said out loud without meaning to. Easy. Disposable. I pulled my phone out with shaking hands and hit record. Not because I was thinking clearly, because instinct is what shows up when shock takes your brain offline. Brenda spoke again. "What if the police trace it? What if they—" Dad cut in. "They won't trace it to Ryan if the phone isn't with Ryan." Mom sighed like she was exhausted by everyone else's incompetence. "We gave her the phone. It's in her room. It's in her hands." Brenda. "But it's Lily's phone now." Mom's voice turned almost pleased. Exactly. Brenda exhaled hard. Kate is going to freak out. Dad's reply was flat. Kate's always dramatic. My hand tightened around my phone so hard my knuckles ached. Brenda said, "And Lily," Mom interrupted, dismissive. "Lily's a good girl. She'll be fine." Brenda's voice sharpened. "Kate thinks her daughter is perfect." Dad chuckled, low and mean. "Well, maybe this will knock her down a peg." Brenda laughed, just a little. And something inside me went perfectly, terrifyingly still. Because this wasn't just them trying to protect Ryan. This was them choosing Lily as the fall guy. Because Lily was easy. Because Kate was dramatic. Because Ryan mattered. I backed away from the stairs as quietly as I could, my phone still recording until I got back to the bedroom and shut the door. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hit stop. I played it back once, just enough to confirm it wasn't my imagination. It wasn't. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the phone like it was radioactive. Lily walked in, hair damp from the bathroom, toothbrush in hand. "Can I have it now?" she asked, grinning. I forced my face into calm, into normal. "Yeah," I said. "But first, listen to me, okay?" Her smile faltered. "What?" "We're going to go out for a bit," I said, light, casual, like I hadn't just heard my family volunteer my child as collateral damage. A little surprise visit. "A surprise?" She perked up immediately. Kids love surprises. Adults fear them. "Yeah," I said. "Go put on shoes and grab your jacket." She ran to the closet. I packed fast, quiet, controlled. Not like I was going on vacation, like I was evacuating. A couple outfits, Lily's toothbrush, my wallet, chargers, the phone, both phones, the iPhone and mine. I texted my friend Sandra with one thumb. Me, "Can we come over? Like, now." Sandra, "Yes. What's wrong?" Me, "I'll explain when I get there." I stared at that yes like it was a lifeline. Lily bounced back over. "Okay, where are we going?" I lifted my bag onto my shoulder and opened the door. Downstairs, I could hear Mom laughing again, Christmas music still playing, like this house wasn't full of people plotting to ruin my kid's life. Lily skipped ahead of me down the stairs. Mom looked up. "Where are you going?" "Just out for a bit," I said, and my voice didn't shake. "Sleepover." Mom's smile tightened. "A sleepover? On Christmas?" "Yeah," I said. "Lily's excited." Lily nodded enthusiastically. "Sleepover!" Dad's eyes narrowed slightly, like he could sense something slipping out of his grip. Brenda watched me too closely. Ryan shuffled into the room behind her, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He looked at the bag, then at me, and smirked. I didn't look away. I didn't say a word, because I had his Christmas present upstairs, and it wasn't a phone. It was consequences. We walked out the front door. Cold air hit my face like a slap. Lily tugged my hand. "Mama?" "Yeah, baby?" "Did I do something wrong?" she asked, small. My heart broke cleanly in half. "No," I said, instantly. "No, you didn't. Not ever." She searched my face, trying to understand. I squeezed her hand. "I promise." And I drove us straight to Sandra's house, knowing that the second I closed that door behind Lily, I was going to set something in motion that Mom, Dad, and Brenda would never be able to put back in the box. Sandra opened her door before I even knocked all the way, like she'd been standing there waiting. One look at my face and she didn't ask questions. She just stepped aside. "Come in," she said softly. Lily ran past us, instantly distracted by Sandra's dog and the promise of snacks. Bless children and their ability to pivot. Sandra guided Lily into the living room. Hot chocolate? Yes, Lily chirped, like we were having the best Christmas adventure ever. I followed Sandra into the kitchen. What happened? She asked. I set the bag down. I set the phone down. My hands finally started to tremble now that Lily wasn't watching. Sandra's eyes flicked to the phone. Kate! I overheard them, I said. They gave Lily a phone on purpose, not as a gift, as a dumpster. Sandra's mouth tightened. Your sister? And Mom and Dad, I said. My voice went flat. All of them. I took a breath, forced myself back into control. I need Lily safe here, I said. Just a few days. Of course, Sandra said immediately. As long as you need. Lily's laughter drifted from the living room. I swallowed hard. Don't tell her anything, I said. Not details. She shouldn't have to carry this. Sandra nodded. Go do what you need to do. I left Lily with Sandra, told her I'd be right back, kissed her forehead, and walked out before I changed my mind. In the car, I didn't cry. Crying is what you do when you have time. I didn't have time. I drove straight to the station. The roads were quiet in that strange holiday way, like the world was pretending nothing bad ever happens on Christmas. My hands stayed steady on the wheel, but my chest felt tight, like I was holding my breath without realizing it. Inside, everything was fluorescent and calm and painfully normal. I told them what I needed to tell them, that the phone had been given to my daughter as a gift, that it hadn't been reset, that it contained messages and calls that didn't belong anywhere near a child, that I had overheard a conversation and recorded it. I slid the phone across the counter, then my own. I think this is connected to a case involving a girl named Emily, I said. Her parents already went to the police. This phone, I think it's part of that. The officer didn't gasp. He didn't frown dramatically. He just nodded once, slow, like something had clicked into place. They took everything, logged it, bagged it, asked me to walk them through the timeline. Christmas morning, upstairs, what I saw, what I heard, when I left. I answered calmly, not because I felt calm, but because panic wouldn't help Lily, and that was the only thing that mattered anymore. They gave me a case number and told me someone would follow up. That was it. No promises, no speeches, just procedure. That was enough. When I got back to Sandra's, Lily was curled up on the couch in pajamas, wrapped in a blanket that was definitely not hers, eyes glued to a movie she'd already half forgotten. Mom, she said when she saw me. Did you get the phone fixed? My stomach clenched. Not yet, I said, keeping my voice even. It needs to be checked first. I'll explain later, okay? Not tonight. She frowned for a second, then shrugged. Okay, and turned back to the screen. Kids are like that. They trust you to hold the heavy things so they don't have to. I sat down beside her and tried to breathe like a normal person. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Then again. I already knew who it was. When I finally looked, there were missed calls stacked on top of each other, from Mom, from Dad, from Brenda. Then the phone rang again. I answered and immediately put it on speaker. All three voices hit me at once. What were you thinking? Brenda snapped. Are you out of your mind? Mom said over her. Dad cut in, sharp. You went to the police? I stayed quiet. They filled the silence quickly, like people who couldn't stand not being in control. "He's a child," Brenda said. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "You're ruining his future," Mom added. This didn't need to go this far. I closed my eyes. A stupid, hopeful part of me was still waiting for it. One sentence, one excuse, one we didn't know. It never came. Instead, Brenda said, "The police are asking questions about Emily, about that phone." Mom jumped in immediately. "You knew this was already an issue. You knew her parents went to the police." Dad exhaled hard. "We were trying to handle it." "By giving it to my daughter?" I asked quietly. There was a pause. Just long enough. "She would have been fine," Mom said. "Nothing was going to happen to Lily." Brenda scoffed. "Ryan could get expelled over this." And there it was. They knew. They knew it was tied to Emily. They knew police were already involved. They knew exactly what they were handing to my child. And they did it anyway. Something inside me settled, not shattered. Settled. "This conversation is over," I said. "Kate," Dad started. "I'm done," I said. My voice didn't shake. "Do not contact me again." I hung up. Lily laughed at something on the screen, completely unaware of the moment my family ceased to exist as a safe place. The confusion was gone. So was the hope. What was left was clarity. And I sat there, holding on to that clarity, knowing there was no going back from it. 6 months later, my life is quiet. Not the awkward, holding your breath kind of quiet. The good kind. The kind that lets you sleep through the night without your phone lighting up and your stomach dropping before you even read the screen. After that call, I didn't wait around to see what they'd do next. I cut them off. All of them. Blocked numbers. Emails filtered straight to trash. Social media locked down. When they tried to go through Lily, messages sent to her school, accidental run-ins, one very bold attempt to have someone else pass along a note, I shut that down too. I filed for no contact. Not a dramatic scene. Paperwork, signatures, dates. A very calm explanation that no one who had tried to use my child as collateral was welcome anywhere near her again. That part felt good. We moved a few weeks later. A rental, technically, but it doesn't feel temporary the way temporary used to feel at Mom and Dad's. It's bright, clean, quiet. Lily has her own room, her own door, and a say in what goes on the walls. The first night there, she sprawled out on her bed and said, "It feels peaceful." That's how I knew I'd done the right thing. I didn't hear about the fallout directly. I didn't want to. But news travels in families like mine whether you ask for it or not. Ryan was expelled, not asked to transfer. Expelled. The school didn't dress it up and they didn't wait it out. Once the investigation wrapped up, that was it. My parents didn't go to prison, but they didn't walk away clean either. Trying to dump evidence onto a child to keep it out of someone else's hands doesn't look great when it's written down and played back. Community service, probation, mandatory classes they'll insist were humiliating and unfair to anyone who'll listen. From what I hear, a lot fewer people are listening these days. Brenda moved from furious to quiet. That's usually what happens when someone realizes the version of the story they rehearsed doesn't work outside the family bubble. Emily's parents sent me a short message. Just a thank you. Nothing dramatic. Just relief. I cried when I read it. Then I deleted it. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't need proof anymore that I'd done the right thing. Lily is happy now. Not the careful, polite version of happy. The loud one. The messy one. The kind that laughs without checking anyone's face first. And me? I don't miss them. I miss the idea of the family I wanted. But that family never actually existed. This one does. So, what do you think? Did I go too far? Or not far enough? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more.